Hey there, thanks for joining GamePoints, our weekly talk show where we get together and discuss the last week's gaming news as I stutter over the intro, which is always a good way to start the show. I am your host, Stephen Brown. I swear I'm not inebriated yet. Down there is our esports commentator, Sean. You can follow him at the Disco_King. Wave Sean, he just did. Across from him, David Smith. How you doing, David?
I'm doing super. How you doing?
Not bad at all. Once again, thanks for joining. Feel free to participate in the chat. Just keep in mind of a delay. Sometimes we go through topics pretty quick, and if we don't get to you, sorry, I will try, though. We're going to go ahead and start off right away. As you can see down there, Halo 5 has a release date.
Whoa.
Yeah, man. I'm actually really excited for the new Halo game, which is something I wouldn't have said probably about 10 years ago.
Yep, this was announced yesterday. Over here's the Twitter, of course. Master Chief returns October 27th, 2015. The hashtag for Hunt for Truth, of course, being their ARG that they're running right now. Now, during the season finale of The Walking Dead, which is one of the bigger TV shows out there, they showed 2 trailers. And they're actually kind of interesting. The first one they showed was what we see right here, with Spartan Locke advancing on a statue of Master Chief in a ruined city. And it turns out Master Chief is down below right there, as you can see. Just all kinds of fucked up. Now, I saw this and I was like, okay, I can get behind this idea. I like this. I'm excited by this. But an hour later, they show what looks to be this exact same trailer, only the roles are reversed. It's Master Chief commenting as he's advancing upon a wounded Locke. So I'm really interested to see how what they're doing with here.
I am too. Now, I've mentioned before that I haven't played the storyline in the 4th one, but I have seen the ending, so I'm familiar with how it ends. But I don't know how all this damage and everything to Earth is going to get done. So I'm actually really interested to see this play out. I do like how what the direction the game went playstyle wise with 4, because I did play the multiplayer a lot. So this game is borderline making me want to buy an Xbox One just to play this game, and that hasn't happened for. Yeah, the last Xbox game I played to give you kind of a timeline was Alan Wake.
Yeah, that's a while ago. Welcome to the chat, JS Williams, by the way. Thanks for showing in. I have heard rumors that there might be a remastering of Alan Wake. Did we talk about that on the show once before?
We have not. I believe that was a new rumor this week, actually. I saw it on Twitter pretty recently.
I don't think it was this week. I think it was last
week. It was relatively
week
soon.
Yeah, it was quick.
Yeah.
Just nothing's come from it, which is one of the reasons why, if I haven't talked about it yet, why it wasn't brought up. David, you just absolutely don't care about Halo, do you?
Not really. I was never an Xbox kid. I mean, I played Halo when everybody else played Halo, but that was me going over to friends' houses and running around shooting. It was GoldenEye to me, more or less. It was really fun for a while. A lot of people got super into it, but I didn't follow the series after really Halo 1. Honestly,
fair enough.
I played a lot of Halo 1, and then I never owned a 360, so I never got into the rest of the franchise.
You didn't.
Go ahead.
You didn't like GoldenEye?
No, I like GoldenEye, but I'm just saying it's
the
party
next
game to
step
me.
of GoldenEye.
Yeah, exactly. It's a game that I played with friends, but I didn't solo that very much.
No, and that's one of the reasons I think Halo became so big, is because, keep in mind, the first one came out roughly around the debut of the original Xbox, just before Xbox Live even existed. You had to play Halo Ghetto style online to get it online, going through GameSpy or something like that. So couch co-op was still very much a big thing, and this was the advancement of GoldenEye. It's like how Doom was to Wolfenstein. This was to GoldenEye, and brought all of that over there. And if it wasn't for that originally, to where you were forced to get 4 people to play on one screen, I don't think Halo would be nowhere near the franchise it is right now. My point being, if it would have came out after online was out, it wouldn't be anywhere near as big.
I disagree with that. The multiplayer scene was made big by MLG as well. It was one of the first true American games to make a really good pro scene in esports, which carried that franchise for a really long time, to be honest.
But it was added to that because of its already pre-existing popularity, which would not have existed if it wasn't for the couch co-op.
I don't know. I can't say, to be honest, just because Call of Duty did the same thing and multiplayer was already out after that.
Fair enough.
When it came to MLG for consoles. So I honestly don't know. I think that it was a really big milestone in esports for American esports, at least.
I'm just mainly happy for the influence it had on couch co-op, like you were saying, because Halo kind of made console shooters, and I totally get that. console shooters were atrocious before Halo happened, and any shooter that's come out since then has had to at least follow some of the formula. I mean, aiming in general is kind of based on how Halo did the drag aiming that they did for auto aiming, which changed a lot of things.
I would still say that GoldenEye and Perfect Dark were excellent examples of console shooters. However, I will agree in the fact that they were exceptions to the rule instead of the rule itself.
Correct.
Yeah. Halo enabled games to have a steadier bar. Like shooters post Halo, as opposed to shooters just post GoldenEye, the bar was raised. That's what I'm going with.
I will say this. A thing to note is that this is coming out in October, not November, which means what the hell is Microsoft going to have coming out for the big Black Friday sales push?
And I could be wrong, but I actually could be way wrong, but I'm pretty sure all the Halos have come out in November, except for maybe the first one.
I want to say Peter Moore had
the main
an
series,
October
the main
date
series
for Halo 2 on his shoulder, but I'm not positive on that.
Okay.
Either. I think it was. I could be wrong. I don't know. We'll ask Peter Moore to show us his tattoo.
How about a legendary for the November? How about a legendary Xbone console that's got Halo and custom graphics and yada yada blah blah?
I'm sure you'll see that because they love multiple SKUs.
Oh yeah.
My gut tells me it's going to be Tomb Raider, the next Tomb Raider, because they have the timed exclusive on that, or maybe not timed. We don't fucking know because they refuse to answer. But that is getting a lot of buzz. The most recent Tomb Raider reboot was fantastic. If you guys haven't played it, I suggest you go out and take a look at it. And it's interesting to see how that was influenced by Uncharted, which in turn was influenced by the original Tomb Raider. It's like they're just aping off each other now. And all the better for it.
Uncharted, Indiana Jones, directed by Joss Whedon.
Oh, yeah, you know it. I love it.
I actually really enjoyed the new Tomb Raider. It kind of was super engrossing, plus all the horrific death scenes kind of made it.
I was a fan
Great
of those, despite some of the controversy back behind there, but that's another topic for another day. Sticking with Halo news, Halo Online is coming to PCs if you live in Russia and don't mind 10-year-old architecture.
And in Russia, Halo PC.
Was that a Yakov Smirnoff joke?
Almost.
Halo Online, according to a post found on Halo Waypoint, which is kind of like, I don't know if it's a fan site or if it's an official site. I think they walked the line pretty finely on there. But Halo Online is coming, but to Russia only.
Did they not get the memo that Halo on PC was terrible when it was first released? Like, just god-awful?
I think they're behind the times, maybe.
Well, speaking of behind the times, it's quoted as being a free Halo multiplayer PC experience. Awesome. Free to play. I'm down for that. But it's on a modified Halo 3 engine. Now, Halo 3 came out in 2007. That's almost 10 years ago. They couldn't do Halo 4's engine on there.
Maybe it's cheaper.
The rights probably ran out. I don't know.
Microsoft owns that lock, stock, and barrel. There's no way
the engine, right? The engine.
I don't know. But the point is, it's Halo 3 instead of Halo 4, which is already a 10-year-old game. It's free to play in Russia only. There's no words on bringing it out anywhere else. I really don't know the purpose of this game. I have no idea why it exists at all.
It doesn't look bad.
Man, it's passable. It's just I don't understand why it exists.
Maybe there's a huge Russian demand for Halo games that we don't understand.
I don't know, man.
Maybe there's some random market there, and they're trying to bring more free-to-play games into the Russian market, and Halo is the brand that's going to do it.
You know what? It's our podcast, because I want to bring up something. When we first did this podcast a few years back, our last show was talking about how one of our last shows was talking about how the Halo 2 servers are finally going down. Now that we're back on, it's coming back. You're welcome, Russia. I know you're watching.
I remember when that Halo 2 server went down, is that people were like refusing to log off because as long as someone was on, the server wouldn't shut down.
Oh yeah,
and that ran for like a month and a half after the official shutdown date on there. One thing I'll have to ask is
some lasting time.
I will be willing to accept that this game exists if Vladimir Putin plays it.
You know he does.
We have video evidence.
Yes, I want video evidence of that. That
he plays this game shirtless while riding a horse.
I was trying to think of some kind of like Old Spice joke to go in there, but it wasn't working. Speaking of old technology, a game even older than Halo 3 is also getting an update. Half-Life 2.
Yeah, this one I'm actually excited about.
But yeah, so Half-Life 2 is coming. It's a community-made mod. It does all kinds of extra stuff added on top. We're going to take a look here. As you can see, extra vistas. The draw distance has been increased. They've like added better water effects, more shadows. The fog effects have been increased, and it's all free. As long as you have a copy of Half-Life 2, you can download this through Steam itself.
Dude, I'm already following this. I'm ready as soon as it comes out. I'm
You
stoked
know
about this.
how David is to Halo, I am to Half-Life.
Yes.
Fair enough. I can have
Fair
it.
enough. You just don't care. See, I love them both, but Halo. Half-Life 2 it's still one of the by far the best first-person shooter campaigns out there. I play it about once every 2 years still, and that Ravenholm, like we're seeing right there, is still fucking terrifying.
Hell yeah, it is. I've actually been putting off a Half-Life 2 like playthrough that I've been wanting to do for a little bit, and as soon as I heard about this, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna wait for that to come out, and that's gonna be
It's
when I do
out.
it.
Yeah.
I believe it is out now. One thing that's kind of cool, too, is it has a community commentary mode. Now, you guys have noticed that in the more recent Valve games coming out, they have these, you can turn on commentary mode, and it's these little thought bubbles spinning, and you click on them, and it pauses the game, and a voiceover comes in. They did something similar to that with a bunch of popular YouTube streamers giving commentary on what their moments when they first saw, like, the Citadel in City 17, and the screen of Dr. Brain talking about how humans need to control population and stuff like that.
Now, I will say this about Half-Life. I really want to talk about Halo for some reason. I think it's because like right when that game came out, I was pretty young still. Like I was
wanna
at
say
that
it
weird
came
age.
out in, oh Christ,
98.
98.
Half-Life 1 maybe.
Yeah, so I'm talking about
Oh, yeah.
Half-Life. I said Half-Life.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were
and
talking about
so-
Half-Life 2 when you said that.
No. My only
Half-Life
exposure to the
is
game was
not-
watching you play it. And hell, like you were like 18 in that time, and I was 11, I think. So like my real exposure to that game was watching you play it. And the only thing I can remember about that game when I was young was fucking the G-Man. And I was like, that dude's a badass. And then like I graduated high school, and they're like, oh, by the way, the second one's coming out. I'm like, that one game I watched like 11 years ago or something like that. Like, that was not
I want to
even
say it
relevant.
came out in 2006 for Half-Life 2. I could be wrong on that, though.
I
Yeah.
thought it was 04.
It could be 4.
And it's a year.
In
It was
fact,
a
I'm willing to
damn
bet it's more
long time
2004
ago.
2006. It's been 10 years at least. But yeah, it's cool to see that Valve has always like embraced the modding community, and it's cool that they just went here, have fun, do all this, and it's a great resume if these guys want to get jobs later. I kind of
Well, I like seeing this after Black Mesa. Like, remember when that came out?
yeah,
last
that was
year?
really
Yeah.
cool too.
The whole overhaul of Half-Life 1, although it
And
wasn't
it took
the
forever.
whole
It was
game.
like 5 years for that to come out.
And I don't understand how like game companies like Blizzard can stall games forever, and people are like, "Oh my god, take forever." But like with Valve, it's like it's hilarious. They're their own gimmick. Like
Well,
what the
it's,
fuck?
After a while, it just becomes camp. It gets to the point where it's like, okay, seriously, releases like Blizzard still releases in a timely fashion. Fucking Valve it's been 10 years since Half-Life 2 episode 2. It's been, what was the last thing they released? Portal 2?
Valve?
That wasn't like Dota or anything like that.
Yeah, Portal 2, I think.
And how long ago
Sure.
was that? 5 years ago?
That
Came out on
was
PS3.
four
There-
years ago.
But to be fair, Valve has bigger things on their plate. What would you focus on? Making a game and getting a couple million sales on it, or
Steam.
driving Steam, which is literally
Yeah.
in the hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's already been an article or an interview with Gavin, the great Gabe Newell, the runner of Valve, and how he's more focused on like the software side and the hardware side of what they're doing as a brand, as opposed to worried about just plain software
It
publication.
is sadly one of
making new
those
games.
cases where it's just more profitable to focus on Steam than Half-Life 3, and
Yeah.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
It's also the Cartman effect. Like we talked about earlier, where he's like,
You want it?
we're not
but
going to
you
release
can't
this
play it?
game. Yeah, like I will not let you play this game. All right, you can play this
Fair
game.
enough.
And now like people just rush to it, and it's going to sell millions.
Moving on to extra news here. Did you get the guys play Broken Age?
I own Broken Age. I played the first like 10 minutes.
First 10 minutes, Sean?
I have not. I've seen pieces of it. I really like the art style and kind of like the storytelling of the game, but I have not played it.
listened to for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
It's definitely entertaining to listen to.
Is Jack Black in it? Like,
No, it's Will
Elijah
Wheaton?
Wood?
Or is it Elijah Wood? Sorry, Elijah Wood and someone else. I can't remember who. The point is, it has a release date. Speaking of IGN, on one of their IGN first, Tim Schafer revealed that April 28th, 2015 in North America and April 29th in the EU was going to be the release date for it. I have some issues with Broken Age and just Tim Schafer in general recently, specifically with the way he handles his Kickstarters.
we know.
Yeah, with this and what was the space-based DF9 or whatever it is, where
That was rough.
they just flat out canceled that. They're like, yeah, we're going to stop updating it, and everything that we promised, too bad.
That was
Sorry,
actually
you get what you pay for. Actually, they didn't get what they paid for. So I can't bring myself to push this game too hard. However, it's a classical adventure game, like in the vein of the old LucasArts stuff. The second one's coming, which he promised, so that's good, even if he had to start another Kickstarter to get funding for this one, because he can't manage money. But once this is released, buying them separately doesn't exist anymore. They're going to be combined into one single game, which was its intent to begin with.
Also, the nice thing is if you already own Broken Age, you'll just get Broken Age 2. It's just like an update, basically.
I didn't
That's
know
nice.
that. I didn't know. I thought you had to pay for them separately.
Yeah, well, it's because he's not all bad and you're just a dick.
No. When you make promises, you don't. Let's say he didn't get funding for his second game. He lucked out getting funding for that one. He's fucked people over once already with the Deep Space Nine thing, the space-based DF9 thing. The man can't handle money and makes promises he can't catch. Plus, his personal behavior recently has been kind of questionable, but I'm not going to wade into that pool. But one independent studio that knows what they're doing is Devolver Digital, and the folks at Crow Team, the minds behind Talos Principle, are coming out with an expansion to that, Road to Gehenna. I love the Talos Principle. I thought it was an amazing puzzle game. I thought it actually had some pretty cool existential questions being asked to it. I loved getting to the lore behind it, and it was it's way more than what it looks like.
Yeah, so I actually didn't even know about this game until I read the show notes this week. I'm not going to lie. And then I looked at this game, and then I did more research on it. This game is beautiful. I don't know how I didn't know about it.
It's not only beautiful, but it's very emotionally stirring, too.
Yeah, like, I really want to play this game.
You can find it on Steam for, I want to say, less than 30 right now.
Steam sale for 15.
Yeah.
There you go.
Quick shout-out real quick. J.S. Williams wants to know who's drinking what. I am drinking a Shock Top Apple Crisp.
I'm going through rum and coke right now.
I got a Pyramid Hef.
Sounds
There
good.
you go. That's our new segment, Who's Drinking What?
Who's drinking
Brought to you by
what?
Josh Williams.
So, Talos Principle, for those of you who might not have played it, is kind of like a Portal, but with less dark humor, more religious existentialism crisis.
Oh, so dark humor.
Less dark humor.
Bazing!
Oh, I get what you're saying. Ha ha.
Yeah, he made it
religion's
funny.
a joke. Ha ha. But yeah, the expansion's coming out. You take the place of Uriel, who was one of like the side minor characters in the plot. It's going to consist of 4 episodes and harder puzzles for experienced players. So they're going to assume that you should know what you're doing when you're getting into it, which is going to be kind of rough because some of the puzzles in it were really hard. And the bitch of it was when I played it, it was a preview build copy that was intact but not ready for review. So there wasn't even a goddamn game facts for it yet. That was brutal to finish. But yeah, take a look at it. I highly endorse it. Speaking of things that we highly endorse, David...
Oh, dude, are we going to talk about this game?
We're going to talk about some Crowfall.
On accident? Yeah, so we're back to Crowfall and the fact that this game made by a dream team of MMO developers has raised a shit ton of money. It's surprising how people support things they like. Their Kickstarter, and they also had direct PayPal donations when their Kickstarter ended, has raised them over 1.8 million, I want to say, as of this.
Shy under it.
Really? Man. I'm going to go with close enough.
$1,783,796 as of time of writing that article.
Yeah, but that was like yesterday. So sure, they made...
They might have pulled in $250,000.
Yeah, I think they may have because they had a thank you video for 1.8 million that I watched earlier today.
Then there we go.
Yeah, that's what I'm going off of. Anyway, they've actually managed to add a lot of features that they didn't even think about when they originally put up their Kickstarter. They just wanted to make this cool MMO where the players were the permanent features, not the landscapes, because as you may remember from our early show, They're going to have worlds that will actually disappear over time, and players can go into the new worlds as they pop up and fight for control. And while that planet is still aligned, I guess, however they're calling it, that player completely runs it, from the economy to the drop rates, all kinds of things. That's their world. And then it'll blow up, and they can take all the riches back to their kingdom, invite other players into their kingdom, have them as lieges, give them land, choose their own shop.
It's like you're strip mining alternate dimensions.
Yeah, I was about to say you're resource mining planets at this point.
I really want to see what the mechanics behind this are, like in motion. Like you say it, but it's kind of hard to conceptualize without actually seeing it.
Well, I like how they're just calling it a throne simulator now. Is what they're talking about, and it's still got classic MMO things. There's a lot of classes, and I'm pretty sure with all the money they've raised, they added a few more. You can play as a centaur at this point, I think, and all kinds of.
I'm sure there's gonna be a crafting system and everything like that.
Yep. And they added combat pets in one of the recent updates. They've added a bunch of Kickstarter and PayPal backers, and they actually still have stuff up if you want to go to their website, Crowfall.
There's one thing that worries me a lot about this game, and it's because of what happened to World of Warcraft recently. So with the garrisons that were implemented in the newest expansion, it really turned this massive social MMO into a very antisocial game where you don't have to see anyone else to do anything in that game. And I think that destroys communities of MMOs, and I hope they figure a way to make it that you have these lands and everything like that, but still implicate a social aspect of the game that's forced on you. Because without that, now you're playing a single-player game with aspects of being able to have other people, rather than actually playing a multiplayer game with aspects of single-player, which is what an MMO should be. And I think that's why a lot of people get that game wrong, and why MMOs aren't really that big of a deal anymore, is because they're so antisocial now, where they should be more designed on social bearings. As someone who's a big fan of MMOs, I'd like to see that in a game put back in there, rather than separating everything and make it so you can do everything on your own.
Fair enough.
Well, one of the main things that I remember is that when you're the head of a kingdom, basically, because everyone's going to start with their own territory, but you can actually pick up your territory and move it into a shared territory with another player, and basically become their vassal. And if some person manages to create this giant territory, they can get to the point where they don't really need to go on quests, but they'll still have to contact all the people that are under them and say, hey, we need to go mine for this resource. Our faction is rolling on this new instance that just popped up, and we need to take that from whoever. And the way they're doing all the instances, there's several different versions. There's going to be safe zones, more or less. There's kind of like single player PvP for non-PvP farming areas. There's going to be full-fledged PvP, and then there's going to be like clan versus clan and all this other crazy stuff. And you basically, each new area you go into, you can kind of fight for your own side.
And Disease40 is asking if you know when it's coming out.
No idea. It just got funded, so it's probably going to be, I think the open beta is scheduled maybe for next year. So it at earliest early or like late 2016.
It's definitely something we'll be keeping an eye on. Developers for Crowfall. What's the name of that team?
Arcfall.
Arcsoft. You fine gentlemen out there, if you want us to stream Crowfall live for like 24 hours straight, feel free to send us copies, and I'll make sure Sean gets right on that.
If you're watching, and I know you are.
Yeah, I believe it.
All right, you want to finish that sentence? All right.
Nope.
Arcfall, you guys are bros. You know it, but you know who aren't bros? Nintendo.
But... Wait, something about Sega. I don't know.
Because you know who Nintendo, I got you. You knew who
Sega does what Nintendo don't.
There you go. Yeah. We were all thinking it. You were the asshole that actually said it, though.
And a YouTube link from IG Anuma. I apologize if I mispronounced that. The new Zelda has been delayed till 2016. Originally, he did say it was going to come out this year, but it has changed. And the YouTube link that you can see right here, it's essentially him standing up there talking about how, hey, sorry, we discovered a whole bunch of extra stuff that we're going to throw in the game. We discovered all these new things that we think would work out really well, and we're going to add them in there. But because of that, it's going to end up taking a little bit longer than we thought. So it's going to be 2016 now. Now, this puts the Wii U in a rather difficult position, because what does the Wii U have coming out this fall that other than Zelda, and that's not even going to be it this year?
Not a lot.
Sean, can you guys think of anything?
Like, I'm pretty sure people are just waiting on Zelda at this point for the Wii U. And with the supposed new Nintendo hardware, I'm not even necessarily say console, I'm just going to say hardware that's going to be coming out at some point. It'll be weird if this is like the late console phase game.
Well, they did hint to that NX that we talked about last year, or last week, I should say.
No,
I feel like Nintendo and Zelda is like, all right, here's a new console, here's a new Zelda game, and then a week later they're like, our bad, that Zelda game's going to come out later. Because they did the same thing with the Wii U and Zelda. When the Wii U first came out, like right before it came out, they're like showing a new Zelda game as the demo of the Wii U, and they're like, oh, by the way,
are you talking about the GameCube and the Wii with Twilight Princess?
No, it was no. When the Wii U first got announced, there was a demo of
absolutely right.
Yes. And he was like, look at the controller, you can play Zelda on it, and that Zelda game got scrapped. Like, it never even came out.
It had to have. Or else it was just a snow job, and they just made something real quick to show.
They said, like, oh, by the way, Zelda coming out soon, and then they were like, our bad. So I don't know what it became. For all I know, they could be reusing it for this new one.
Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, maybe.
There you
Which
go.
apparently is actually really good if you love Dynasty Warriors.
I remember seeing that demo. I'm like, dude, this Zelda game actually looks really good. It looks like I want to, like, the first one I really want to play since Wind Waker, maybe.
Have you seen
good.
the video for the most recent video for the upcoming Zelda?
I have not. I want to though.
Well, here I have it right here
I don't
for
think
you.
Zelda fan.
Now, as you can see, they have this thing where like they could pull the map way out and then zoom way in again, and it's pretty seamless. I mean, it's probably the biggest Zelda world that I've ever seen. I mean, just look at it; it's just impressive.
You're gonna show more cats, aren't you?
Yeah, you guys are out of delays.
Nintendo.
Nintendo doesn't like things, and as such will copyright strike me. So,
dude, we gotta get it. That's our whole job. We're here to piss off Nintendo and constantly talk shit about them, and for some reason keep talking up Sega. You keep closing branches.
Sega.
We believe in you.
We're going to jump ship to a completely different topic here. Bloodborne was leaked by Amazon France as showing up as a possible PC release. Now, Amazon France has a pretty solid track record with this crap. Essentially, they leaked The Last of Us bundle on the PlayStation 4, Grand Theft Auto 5 on PC, among other things.
They're the Nostradamus of release.
It's more like someone's just a little bit itchy with the trigger finger on releasing these. Now, this link has been pulled. You can't find this anymore on Amazon France, so here's a screenshot of it. Essentially, it says not available, coming sometime. You can pre-order it now. But like I said, this has been pulled. This doesn't exist anymore on there, so if you go looking for it, it's not going to be there. Now, the caveat to this one is, whereas the other one's kind of common sense, Sony owns Bloodborne lock, stock, and barrel.
I don't think it's coming out on PC at all.
No, this could be a complete mistake. But
well, the main thing is people are talking about the fact that it's like, well, Dark Souls 1 and 2 made it to PC, so obviously Bloodborne should, except for you're forgetting the fact that Demon Souls did not.
Yeah, and Sony owns Demon Souls, don't they?
And Sony owns Demon Souls.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
As much as I'd love to see Bloodborne on
this.
PC, because I want to see that game running at, 60 plus frames a second. And
you're welcome.
My biggest
4K
problem with
resolution and
Bloodborne,
all.
by the way, is that fact it's 30. It's not 60, and has some frame rate drops, too. Nothing noticeable, but, I mean, clearly noticeable, but nothing hampering. But I would love that. We've reached a point where you can be 60 frames a second.
Yeah, come on. This is next gen.
Drawer of beer real quick.
While you're doing that, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic here and talk about the Uncanny Valley. So, have any of you guys heard of the Uncanny Valley?
About this. Yes.
It actually looks awesome.
Break it down for us,
This
Strong.
game is my dream.
He's way more excited about it.
For all of you guys who watch the show, you probably know by now that I am a huge survival horror fan. It actually is one of the most frustrating things in gaming to me right now, the way that survival horror's gone the last few years, like the last 6 years, like a really long time now. So I love seeing these non-AAA companies attempt it because they nail it. Like they're the ones that do survival horror justice. And this game is like a complete throwback to like the original Clock Tower, like the Super Nintendo Clock Tower, where it's a 2D scroller, it's a pixel bit game, and it looks dark as shit. And it has a very cool kind of concept to it, where like you're a guard at a company, and you get to work your shift for like 7 minutes. So you get to explore and whatnot, and then you have to make it home to go to bed before your next shift. And in between that time, horror and stuff like that breaks out. Like, I'm not too familiar with what's going to go happen because they haven't released anything yet.
It's androids. Like, he works like an android factory. And
but they're not all done.
No, so they're like half skinless and shit.
Correct.
Looks
awesome. The game actually looks really fucking solid to play, and I will say this: as soon as this game comes out, I will stream the hell out of this game.
You know what actually impressed me, of all things, in the brief bit I looked at it, was the fucking damage system. A pixel game that has full like locational damage. Like if you get hit in the leg,
Solid 3,
you get messed up in the leg and you're limping along. If you get hit in the chest, you're winded and you can't go too far. Also,
plus
of
it's
note,
classic survival horror, so you don't.
They said unrestricted access to finish quests and stuff too. So like, there's gonna be multiple ways of doing things. You can kill off side characters. You can kill yourself. There's gonna be more than one way to solve puzzles. So like, this game is very. If they're delivering what they say, it's gonna have a lot of options, a lot of different playthroughs, a lot of game time, where it's gonna have a lot of replay value as well. So I'm pretty excited for it.
It's gonna be very hard to die in the game. Not because things can't kill you. You can get killed, but they want you to live with the consequences of what happens.
Yeah, which, yeah.
I'm excited to see when it comes out. Uncanny Valley, no official date on it yet. Sean, go ahead.
Full on erect.
Although I will say, it really reminds me of an indie game from a few years ago called Lone Survivor.
Yes.
Which is another side-scrolling survival horror that does the horror thing right, and gives you living inventory and everything. So if you're bored and you can't absolutely wait, it's like a 3-year-old game on Steam.
Yeah, you can. I've seen that on sale for like $1 every now and then. Also, I think there's something called Home.
It's pretty solid.
Could be wrong on that.
I'm pretty sure you're right. I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, no, I'm looking for it very, very much. Moving on to the next topic here. I absolutely hate swatters. I think it's a dumb fucking idea. And I am so jazzed to see this poor fucking... Not even a poor kid. Fuck this kid. But it looks like he got what was coming to him. As you can see, a link up here from Ars Technica. They are... I believe this is Ars Technica, so let me just double check here. Yes, Ars Technica. Just want to make sure credit goes out to where credit's due. A 13-year-old Southern California boy has confessed to 3 different swattings, one in which he threatened to blow up the house with hostages in a suburban neighborhood. Fuck swatters, by the way. You are putting people's lives at risk. There have been multiple instances where SWAT teams have hit the wrong house and people have been shot, pets have been killed. It's just fucked up. And the more screwed up thing about this is, apparently this is over Minecraft. He felt wronged in Minecraft.
All I know is if I ever got swatted and like my dog Charlie got shot, I would hunt you fucking down and like do terrible things to you.
I would do terrible things to their family.
Well, that's another thing too. He confessed to doing all this, and he might get probation. Sorry, I don't care if you're 13. Ridiculous. You get some jail time, and your fucking parents are paying out the ass. I want to see them have to completely repay back all 3 counties' police departments for the time wasted, pay the damages and fucking both mental and physical to the families that you put this through.
Yeah, that's what I want to see what happens after this, because that kid's gonna get that kid's family, and the kid are gonna get sued by all these families. So that repercussion is coming as well.
I want to see him get zero cooled. I want him to where you can't even touch
I was about to say that shit.
Phone.
You cannot use a computer until you're fucking 21 years. Dude, I was literally about to say that. You fucker.
I'm glad to see these arrests getting picked up. If you recall, reported last month that a kid named Brandon Winston was also arrested. Now, what pisses me off is that they're like, oh, the 19-year-old child, the 19-year-old kid. Sorry, he's fucking 19.
You're an adult.
Not a child. You do big boy time now.
Yeah.
At a time.
I'm all fired up, so I'm going to go into something that even pissed me off even more.
Hack the planet.
Hack the planet. Over in our friends across the pond in the UK, so keep in mind, this is the United Kingdom. They don't follow U.S. law. They don't have a constitution. And they do, but they don't have our constitution.
They have the Magna Carta. Whatever that is.
Got that Magna Carta, do we?
Is that like Northern England?
So in an article from Games Radar,
fucking hate us.
In an article from Games Radar, essentially the residents of Cheshire, UK, have been sent a letter from school districts saying, "quote," where is that quote? I am a bad host. I'm sorry, I don't have this sitting up here. Here it goes. That they could be reported for neglect if found to be allowing their children to access 18-plus material. What do they mean by 18-plus material? Well, games such as Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, and other things that contain unsuitable levels of violence. Meaning, if you let your kids play an M-rated game, they will contact the authorities and say you're abusing them.
What we need now. Okay, so Steven, next time we need our first like clip when anything that happens like this. So you can just hit a button like a soundboard and you hit a button and a clip plays. We need a clip of Bender saying, "Haven't you ever just talked to your kids, sat them down, and hit them?" And we just need to loop that like anytime like this happens.
I flipped my shit when I read this article that was going on. Some quotes from the letters that were sent home are. One of them is, schools wrote to the parents because they and the council regard this as an important issue for children's health and well-being, a.k.a. playing violent games will hurt your child, even though every study ever done disproves that. More quotes, the schools have the option of reporting the matter to the police and children's social care, which is essentially like in the American equivalent of social services. The Cheshire Constabulary, which are their police department, will get involved and remind parents of their responsibility to ensure that primary school-age children are to be protected from inappropriate material. Well, who fucking determines if it's inappropriate, asshole? The parents do. You fucking dicks.
Does, for sure.
Let's take a quick poll. Show of hands of who played mature games when they were little or saw them. Because I know I did.
Yep.
I watched Resident Evil when I was like fucking 9 years old.
I saw heavy metal.
How many of
us
have gone out and killed people or done like a school shooting because games and whatnot, or music or anything like that?
The vast majority of
I didn't get caught for it, but
there are proven to be no direct ties between violence and school shootings and video games. There is this new thing coming up, this second wave of Jack Thompson shit that I like to call, where people are like, well, there are links between increased aggression in video games. There's fucking links between increased aggression and driving or having your meal delivered late. Increased aggression, what the fuck does that mean? This topic is giving me increased aggression, and it's not a fucking video game. But
that actually, there's a funny. I think music does do bad because bands like Nickelback makes me want to kill Nickelback.
Now what?
Although this actually, I had a line that I forgot from the last article that parents really need to beat their kids more. I don't know when that stopped.
Now,
a good solution to problems.
What really set me off wasn't even the letter itself, but at the end of the article, written by Louise Blaine, and I've read a couple of her things. She seems like a lovely person, but god damn it, this set me off. To where at the very last paragraph, she says, only the aim of the parents and children better educated in the media that they consume. Let me start over. Quote, it is important to note that no one is blaming the games here. No pitchforks are at work. Only the aim that parents and children are better educated in the media that they consume every day, and that's definitely no bad thing. Bullshit. The games are being vilified here because they're what's making the precious chillins angry. And you know what? It's not fucking education if you're threatening to report people to the authorities. That's fucking behavior control.
I see what you said there.
All I know is if, like, me or you got caught swatting when we were kids, we were dead.
Yeah, if we
not
got
from, like, other
anything,
people.
We'd be dead. We're not really good examples for that.
Bullshit. Do we fucking swat people?
No.
Only when they ask for it and only with an open hand.
I'm only a raging alcoholic, but, you know, whatever.
I personally like to beat hobos with a lead pipe. That's how I get my aggressions out.
Yeah. Doorknobs in a bag.
I just yell at you fuckers on the internet.
A slack of Valencia oranges.
It'll hurt like hell and it won't leave bruises.
But yeah, so this isn't education. This is fucking behavior control under the guise of public safety, which is the rallying cry of anyone who feels icky about something and wants the government to force change it. Won't somebody think of the children? Oh God, won't somebody think of the children?
Gotta nuke something.
Earl Stoke, thanks for joining the chat. You just missed a hell of a rant that I get fired up on because I hate this behavior control bullshit. You don't like it, then don't do it. Leave the Neanderthals to gather in their own shit and throw it around each other. You can go off and do your own thing, but don't tell me how to raise my fucking kid, and don't tell me what I can and can't let them watch. Fuck!
Yeah.
But this is in the UK. So
let's
it's not
bring that in.
America. Oh
Or-
god, oh god, oh god. New releases. New releases this week include MLB 15 The Show. It's Sony's baseball game that's going to be in PS4, PS3, and Vita. It's like the only game in town these days. I heard that the MLB is actually doing one called like RBI too. I have no idea if it's going to be any good. You have the Neverwinter free-to-play MMO coming out to Xbox. It's been on PCs for a couple years now. And the only one really worth mentioning right now is Axiom Verge on the PlayStation 4, which is a Metroidvania-style gameplay all designed by one person. Reviews of it have come out. I unfortunately didn't get an early copy of it, but the reviews have been 9.5, like on the low end. Apparently, this is the game to beat this year so far as Game of the Year goes.
It's every bit as stylish as I wanted it to be.
I feel like there's two different rating systems when people rate games, like, you know, GameSpot and whatever. There's 1 to 9, and then there's 9.1 to 10. And the 9.1 to 10 scale is the only one I really care about.
Well, there's this horrible misconception that an 8 is a bad game, that a 7 is a bad game. They're not. They're good and decent.
Not.
But the internet sees it goes as 10. I'm sorry, overrated, good, crap.
Hey man, C's get degrees.
C's do get degrees. But yeah, Axiom Verge out.
What are we doing?
Out tonight. I don't know if it's probably going to release when the PlayStation Store updates. Unfortunately, they don't have a set schedule, so sometime tomorrow, Tuesday, if you're watching this on YouTube. I'm picking it up.
Noon.
Sean, you going to pick it up? $20.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. But yeah, that does it for new releases.
You should stream it on your streamy stream.
Probably. I don't have a PlayStation camera, so you're just going to hear me talking over it, but I might get into it. We'll see how that goes. That does it for new releases. We're going to move into some esports news. Sean, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with the North American LCS playoff?
Yes, so this week, the upcoming week, North American and EU playoffs happen for League of Legends. The Asians have not yet finished their season. That should be next week, I want to say.
Is there any reason for that? Is it because they have more teams?
They play more games.
Okay.
They actually have the LPL has the most teams, 12. OGN has only 8. But they do play. It's different formats. It's completely different formats. So that's the thing about it. LPL plays a round robin best of 2 matches for 12 teams. They have 44 games each. OGN does round robin of best of 3s, and then NALCS does a round robin of 1 game each. They do a point system compared to the other ones. It's a little bit different. But NALCS and ULCS playoffs do start this week. The playoff picture is thus. TSM is the 1 seed in North America, and C9 got the 2 seed in a tiebreaker over CLG, which was played at the end of the day on Sunday. If you missed that game, sorry, spoiler alert, C9 does win, but you should know that because CLG does not play well in pressure games. So C9 did get the 2 seed after starting terrible this season. It looked like their reign was over. Pulled it together. Their shot calling still on par. High is still the strength and weakness of that team. His shot calling really carries that team, but goddamn is he a terrible mid laner. TSM, they still win by having just dominant lanes and having Bjergsen go off. I feel like if a team can figure out how to start Bjergsen, they're going to get shit on, and I think someone will. Spoiler alert for my predictions. So the games that do happen this week, the first games that are going to happen is number 4 TIP, which is Team Impact, which started the season very slowly and picked up a lot of steam. I believe they finished 9-1 in the second half of the split, or 8-1 in the second half of the split. Like, just ridiculous record. This team does have Impact on it. He's from SKT, who's a world champion. It used to be LMQ, so it's got Zhao Zhao on it, who was the MVP of the summer split. A lot of good talent on this team. I think people really forgot about LMQ because they changed their name and roster changes and whatnot. But this team is looking dominant right now. They play number 5 Gravity, which is formerly Curse Academy. You know them better as St. Vicious' team with Bunny Fufu and Haunter. Haunter, I feel like, is the most underrated player in LCS right now. Great top laner. This dude gets just overshadowed by Bunny Fufu's hooks in games right now. If you want to watch a good top laner in LCS right now, watch Hunters. This dude's a monster. So that's the first game, and I do have Team Impact winning that series 3-1 in a somewhat close 3-1. I think Team Impact will show dominance in a best-of-5 match, which a lot of these North American teams don't have, and all of these Asian players do. These imports that are on Team Impact have. So I think experience will win over that one. Impact, he's world champion. Like he's got that pedigree, that mentality of winning tournaments. So I really think they show up and beat Gravity in that first match. The second match is number 3 CLG versus number 6 Liquid. Now Liquid snuck into the playoffs on a tiebreaker against Team 8. So Liquid at the beginning of the year on paper they were like they were the paper heroes. Like this team is stacked. They got Piglet, a world champion AD carry, Xpecial, probably the best support in NA for the last like ever since League of Legends been around. This dude's been consistently the best support in NA for a really long time. Quas is a really good top laner. Like they have a really good new mid laner that came out as challenger this year. I Will Dominate's been in the jungle for a few years now. It's got a lot of experience. You look at this team, and they should have dominated the split. They did not. They actually barely made it to playoffs. That being said, I think they're going to beat CLG. CLG does not show up in high-pressure situations. Doublelift is probably the most underrated player in League of Legends history. That dude does not show up when pressure's on the line. And I love Piglet. Piglet's a Korean import, by the way. And in Korea, they had this mentality of talking trash before the games. So it's like part of the show for them, though. Like, it's the hype build. Fans love it.
So it's kind of like the intro to WWE. You come out with all the music playing and stuff like that.
It's amazing. Because, like, there's some that take it seriously. Like, actually, Piglet and Imp have a big rivalry. And, like, Imp made Piglet cry once. Like, it was phenomenal.
Straight out of Compton.
Dude, it was harsh. Like, dude, he got NWA'd on, like, hard. But Piglet, like, as CLG were lining up to play for the second place match, Piglet was getting interviewed, and he's like, I want to play CLG because I think Doublelift is overrated, and I think I will just shit on him. And, like, Doublelift was, like, right behind him, and he turned around and, like, winked at him, and then, like, he's like, Afremu definitely covers that lane. He's very Mad Life-like, so I think I can just dominate him as an AD carry. And, like, the audience was like, oh, snap! So, like, I'm really excited for that match. I think CLG will lose to Team Liquid because, like I said, CLG just they fucking fall apart hard. They start off strong and just crash and burn.
They're like Greg Norman in golf. They can't quite make it to the
Dude,
end.
I'm barely old enough to catch that reference, and no one on the show watches golf. So, like, that's a double whammy.
Yeah, dude, you should not be talking about golf ever on this. This is the wrong place for that.
So, if that does happen, my predictions do work out.
Back in the day when Aaron Burr challenged.
Dude,
if my predictions do work out,
about that is Ice-T.
Liquid would play TSM in the next round, and TIP would play C9, which actually is a good matchup for TIP, a shitty matchup for Liquid. I think TSM would beat Liquid in the semis and advance to the finals. TSM's just better laners all the way around. They're a pretty solid team. They've shown consistency. They're really the only North American team to show consistency all year. So I think they will make it to the finals over Liquid, and I think Team Impact will beat C9 on superior lane play because High just cannot win from the mid lane. And shot calling only gets you so far in tournaments, and in a best of 5, I think people can really adapt to that. And I think those imports from other countries are really going to dominate them. Here's the thing people are going to be kind of upset about. I think that Team Impact is going to beat TSM in the finals. I really do. Team Impact is just on a heater right now. And if anyone can outlane TSM, it's going to be solid laners. They're not going to lose lane to TSM, which I think is the strong part of TSM, is beating lanes. Not going even, beating lanes. So I think if Team Impact can go even around 20 minutes, I really think they'll have a strong series against TSM. So I think Team Impact...
Go ahead, finish that thought.
Nope, that's it.
Speaking of beating lanes, Disease 40 in chats, who do you think is going to beat Bergson, in your opinion?
Who's going to beat him in a 1v1 match?
Or who can, I guess.
Xiaowei Zhao, the dude was MVP of last split. I think people forget about that a lot. Xiaowei Zhao was a phenomenal mid laner last year. He's very mechanically sound. He doesn't get as much resources as Bjergsen does. The team is built around Bjergsen. Like, they give him everything he needs. Xiaowei Zhao does pretty much everything without help. His jungler Rush, I will say, is probably the most improved player in the split. Rush has been fucking dominating lately from the jungle. So he does have a really steady jungler, but he helps out their lanes a lot. He has a really good presence of putting up wards and giving vision, which does help a lot. But Bjergsen basically gets all the CS. Like he just gets all these resources just given to him. Like he goes to other lanes and takes CS and split pushes all game, and then you can't touch him because he's so mechanically sound. He plays a lot of champions like Zed and LeBlanc, where you can't duel him; he'll just kill you. Xiao Xiao plays around his team a lot more, so I think he'll be able to stay steady in Bjergsen and at least go even in team fights. And when that happens, his champion pool I think will be a little bit better suited for team fighting than Bjergsen's champion pool will. I think TSM will do these weird 1-3-1 splits, while Impact does more of team fighting AoE comms to stop it. So that's why I really think Impact will win. That's really kind of just my 2 cents on the North American ELCS, which actually shaped out to be better than EU, which was really shocking to me. I was really down at NA until the last few weeks, and teams actually really showed up. But talking about EU, did you guys have any questions on the NALCS?
Not that I can think off the top of my head, but then again, all this is Greek to me.
The main thing I've been excited about recently is some of the more unique champion picks that have been going on.
Absolutely, man.
Because the game it looks a lot less stagnant than it did, even
the
last season.
5.6 patch in general has opened up so many different comps. There's so many different champions played. It's really like Season 2 over again, but with more champions.
It's not watching the same 20 champs every single game.
Like, there's 1-3-1 split comps, there's dive comps, there's AoE comps, there's catch comps, like, there's the Juggermaw comp. There's a comp built around one champion. Like, that's fucking amazing. Like, I really like that.
We got shout out for Urgot for those champions.
Dude, Urgot is getting picked up hard right now. Actually, he's probably going to get nerfed. I'm not going to lie. If you do want to see that interview with Piglet, it is at the end of Liquid versus Team 8 on the last day of Sunday, the second tiebreaker game. So if you want to watch that VOD, watch that day, and watch at the end of that game he gets interviewed. And like that's when he talks trash to Double Lift. It's fucking hilarious. Like it's money in the bank. So if you guys have any questions, let me know on the chat. And then during ELCS, I'll answer some.
I think Steven, we're moving to EU LCS now.
Correct. And the other split that has playoffs this week is EU LCS. SK gets the 1 seed over Fnatic, who got the 2nd seed. So both 2 teams will get first round buys.
Is that I was actually going to have a question by that. Is that by design the first 2 rounds get a bye? Because that just seems so unusual to me.
In
like
leagues,
compared to other sports.
If it's ever a 6-team, well, football has first round buys and everything like that too.
Yeah, but do you always put your 1st and 2nd seeds in the first week bye?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they get a benefit.
I always thought it was random. I know a bye is a benefit, but having it that first week with the first 2 teams, that seemed unusual to me.
Yeah, so the 1st and 2nd seed don't play teams until the semis. They're automatically in the semis. The other teams have to play in quarters.
Ah, okay, yes. That's how they handle it. All right.
Yep. And
I was thinking it was like the NFL where it's like random pick, isn't it? Isn't it random pick in the NFL?
No, absolutely not. It's 1 through 16. Mm-hmm. Same way, actually. The tournament brackets in this tournament are the same exact thing in football.
Oh, okay then.
Yep. So they get the 1 and 2 seeds. They get the bye weeks. SK and Fnatic by far all season. Like people are like they're going to be 1 and 2. Blah blah blah. It was just a matter of who was going to get 1 or 2. They're kind of like Fnatic's a counter to SK. SK's a counter to everyone else, and then everyone else is a counter to Fnatic. So it's like this weird like back and forth. And Fnatic just was talented enough to beat other teams. So if
they
SK
also played Cho'Gath, I'd like to point out.
Oh my god, dude! Like the Fnatic picks. If you want to see a team full of action, that's just like Koreans like showing dominance. Something because Huni and Reignover are Korean, dude. They dive the shit out of everyone. If you just want to see merciless bloodlust in a game, watch Fnatic games. They're mind blowing. SK has a very particular comp they like to play where they do like it's not even a comp, it's a style. They just love putting pressures on all the lanes so the enemy jungler doesn't know what to do, and their jungler goes into the enemy junglers and just wards up and is a ward, basically just giving vision to half the map, so there's less pressure everywhere. It's a very weird style. They're the only team in the world that really does this and gets away with it. In international play, really they struggled because smaller teams in Korea and China really exposed them and showed you how to stop it. So I think some of these EU teams are going to get smart to it. They kind of started this whole, like, let top lane get 3 Raptor minions from the jungle and not kill the big one and go top with, like, a minor experience buff and then just shit on lane as soon as they don't too. So they're kind of innovators in that sense. Uh, Forgiven is just, as a Western player, this dude could play AD carry in Korea or China. This dude is phenomenal. He carries his team in some games. His Graves has to be banned, period. He's the star of this team.
Which is whack on its own.
Dude, it's fucking ridiculous how good this dude is on Graves. But like when Asia played him, like in the IEM tournament, they banned Lucian Graves, and their teams lost every game. So it's like ban Forgiven, win game. Their top laner, Freddy123, is actually really good too, though. He's consistent. He just had a bad showing at IEM. I don't know if that's going to happen in the EE tournament. Lesser competition, so I doubt it. But that's not even, like, SK and Fnatic won't play each other until the finals. The first game is going to be Gambit Gaming at number 4 versus Unicorns of Love at number 5. This series is going to be a shit show. These teams are just terrible. I don't, like, EUSCS after 3 is just terrible, basically.
Your name is Unicorns of Love. I pictured that just from the name alone.
Dude, Gambit Gaming, and this series is gonna be dirty.
Where are the shitty Beatles looked at?
Dude, they're right below like the Jolly Green Giants.
I don't know
Wayne's World reference. Because the shitty Beatles was before the Jolly Green Giants and Wayne's World. Bam. So number 4, Gambit Gaming, I have advancing in this round of fucking shit because I think Gambit's they have more experience. I think they'll beat Unicorns of Love, who's a rookie team right now. This game's gonna be terrible. Like, if you just want to see bad play, which actually can be quite hilarious and fun to watch Gambit versus Unicorns of Love. That game is going to be a shit show. After that, though, H2K, another team like Cloud9, who started the season off terrible, just shut